Well, back here at home, relief in one Brownsville neighborhood after dealing with piles of brush left over from the winter freeze. Finally, a change. Channel 5's Rudy Mireles joins us now live from a neighborhood with that update. And Rudy, where you're standing at looked a lot different from just an hour ago, right?
Good evening, Oscar. It is much different from what we saw at 5 o'clock. And actually, it was just a few minutes after that story aired at 5 o'clock that we get a call from Josefina Rivas telling us that after waiting more than 5 months, not just the street she lives on, but her house specifically has been cleared of the brush that's been sitting here since the winter freeze. You can actually look around on the ground here. All that all that pavement and sidewalk, it's all still relatively wet from when they lifted the brush. And more importantly, this mailbox is clear. And we'll talk more about that in just a second. When we spoke to Rivas, one of the problems that she had was getting through to the people at the city to try and put in a complaint on behalf of herself and her neighbors. So yesterday what we did is we stood by while and recorded one of the calls, and she notified the city employee on the line that Channel 5 was here listening in on the conversation, and we did that to see if we could help get her some answers. Now, Rivas told us when we spoke to her last that her frustration with elected officials and city employees and Republic Services was growing for many reasons. Among those, not even able to get the mail, that brush, as I just said, blocking her mailbox since at least April. And today that feeling has changed from frustration to relief.
We're grateful from the city, the commissioner, Benice, and all the people that had called against them, that they hadn't heard, I haven't heard from them or anything. But the concern was my mailbox. Now I'll be able to get the mail, the packages for my kids for school. And
just a few minutes before news time, the city's contractor, Republic Services, was providing an update to the City Commission. They've been doing that on a monthly basis since this kind of all started. And we were listening into it on the way to Rivas's house and did hear the company explain that a 600-ton average increase to monthly brush collection was partly responsible for the delays citywide. Now, we also heard them say that they do expect brush collection to resume normal operations by the end of the week. They've given themselves a deadline of June 19th. Of course, that is the second deadline that they've given themselves since all of this kind of started back in April. That's when everybody really started trimming their trees and branches and everything, waiting to see what was actually dead and what wasn't from the freeze. But of course, we'll continue to monitor this over the coming weeks and see if that June 19th deadline will hold true. Live in Brownsville, Rudy Mireles, Channel 5 News at 6.